Right, now last speaker of the first half is McClure, and she's going to be telling us about Fussy eating fables. So, if you welcome her to the stage.
So towards the end of last year, a boy went blind from eating chips. This is quite a big story, but if you didn't see it, a young man who was 18 years old had for his whole life eaten basically only chips, and as a result of that he had gone blind due to nutritional deficiency. And at first blush that sounds absolutely ridiculous. How could you think that you were ever going to be okay if all you ate was chips? I know it's hard to get children to eat their vegetables, but this is ridiculous. And you think about the parents and you think, how on earth could you let your child just eat chips? It sounds like absolutely stellar parenting. And that was the view that quite a lot of people I saw who were commenting on news stories like this had at the time. And you'll see that in the next slide. And when I saw these news stories, I was a bit annoyed as well. And so I was sufficiently annoyed that I actually complained to the BBC about their reporting. And by complained, I mean I tweeted at them, because that's the modern way to complain. And within an hour of doing that, I was being interviewed on BBC Radio 5 Live by Nihar. Now, you might well wonder why just being annoyed at a news story led me to being interviewed on national radio. And the reason is that I spotted something that was missing from the initial reporting of those stories. And the reason that I noticed something was missing is because the diet that was described that the young man had is almost exactly like my diet. That's me from 5 years ago at Ignite. I am in my 30s, and since I was 18 months old, my diet has consisted of 6 things. Those 6 things are white bread, chips, chocolate, green apples, smooth strawberry yogurt, Walkers, specifically Walkers, salt and vinegar crisps, and that's it. And the reason for that is because I and the boy in the news stories suffer from an eating disorder, and that eating disorder is called avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, shortened to ARFID. And that was what was missing from the reporting. It didn't mention, at least initially, that he had that condition. Now, to be fair, I didn't know I had this condition until the middle of last year, and it's only been a diagnosable condition for a few more years than that. Before that, I was a fussy eater, I was a freaky eater, and that's how I described myself, because that's how everyone else described me, and the society described me, friends and family described me, medical professionals described me that way, and that's how it was. But it's actually a bit more sort of significant than that. For me, it's different for everyone, but for me it was an extreme aversion to any taste and textures that weren't on that list, and I couldn't explain to you why things were and weren't on the list. But the best analogy I can come up with is the difference between being asked to eat toast and being asked to eat the toaster. It's that different in my mind. Now luckily for me, because my diet's slightly wider than that boy in the story, I've not had any physical health issues with it, but it's been quite a significant social disability for me. You don't realise quite how much food is part of life unless it's something that you basically avoid. And before this diagnosis, it really felt like a moral failing to me, like I was some kind of millennial snowflake who just needed to get over myself, and that was the view of quite a lot of people in relation to the story at the end of last year. But when I had the diagnosis, it was quite a revelatory moment for me, because then actually it wasn't that, it was a serious condition, and I was able to get help and therapy. And I've actually, just before this talk, been at the Liverpool Eating Disorder Service having a session with them, and because of that I've been able to make massive, massive progress. And the rest of the slides are going to be food that I managed to eat in the last year. This is the first remnants of the first main meal I ever ate in a restaurant, ever, at the age of 31 last summer. And so I've been able to make a great deal of progress, and I've been able to shift my brain slightly with professional help to think that maybe toasters might be edible. So for the first time in 30 years, I am trying all kinds of new things. I'm using cutlery for the first time, which is hard to learn for the first time if you've never done it before. I'm cooking for the first time. I'm having meals with my partner, something I've never done in 8 years, and that's absolutely fantastic. I'm also learning that this is something that actually affects more people than I thought it did. So if you recognise anything in this talk, please do go and seek professional help from your doctor. They can refer you to people who can help with this. Things that didn't help, being scoffed at, being called a fussy or a freaky or a picky eater, being told if you'd ever really been hungry enough, you'd have eaten. I actually did nearly starve myself to the point of hospitalisation when I was a small child, and that didn't make the toaster any more edible. No one chooses to eat this way, and if I could have fixed it myself, I would have done that in a heartbeat. And if you told me a year ago I would be eating things like that, I would not have believed you. That's a toaster, you can't eat toasters. So I just wanted to highlight that it's actually quite a serious mental health condition. It can have very serious physical implications, as with the young man in the news stories, and if not, it can have serious mental or social consequences, as it has done for me. So I hope that you found that interesting, and that you take away from this, if you hear someone's a fussy or a picky eater, there might be more to it. And in the meantime, I'm going to catch up on the 30 years of pizza I've missed out on. Thanks for listening.